Hello and welcome again to another Excel data challenge. And for today's video, we will do this Excel challenge, which is library lookup and transaction system. So the objective of this challenge is we have to create a dynamic lookup formula to help us manage our library transactions and our students borrowing and also the book availability. And we have to complete the challenge using the lookup and student data, book data, and transaction data sheets. So these are the sheets that we will be using. So here is the book data, which have the book ID, the book title, the author name, and the number of copies. The student data, and also the transaction data. And this is where we have to input, I believe, the lookup formulas. This one and also this one. So let's proceed. So what are the challenges? So the challenges is divided into, and the challenge is divided into three parts. So the first part is for transaction data calculations. So this is in the transaction data sheet. So we have to complete the following columns with formulas. So the due date is 14 days after the borrowed date. The overdue days, which is you have to make a formula to calculate how many days past the due date the book was returned. Early, if returned early or on time, this should be zero. So if the student returned the book before the due date or during the due date, it should be zero. So and also the fine, this is fines, I believe. So every day for we will fine the student for about around $1. So no fine if they returned on or before the due date. So that's it. Part two is we have to create the student lookup setting. So this is the lookup sheet. So based on the selected student ID, you have to get the name of the student, the number of books the student borrowed, also the fines he accumulated, and the remaining books allowed. So by the way, there is a note here. If the student has any outstanding fines, they cannot borrow more books, even if under the limit. So the due date is 14 days after the borrow date, and $1 per day is fined for each day of the days past the due date. So that's part two. So in part three is the book lookup setting. So it's still in the lookup setting, it's still in the lookup sheet. So here, based on book ID, we get the book title, the availability, check how many copies are currently not returned in transaction data, then also the soonest due date. If the book is not available, show the nearest due date of that book from active borrowings. So yeah, that's it. There's a note also. Some books have multiple copies, so a book is considered available if at least one copy is not currently borrowed. So yeah, that's the three parts of our challenge. So first, we have to do this first part. So we have to complete the transaction data here. So according to the challenge, the due date is after 14 days of the borrowed date. So let's just try to add 14 this date plus 14. So yeah, that's it. That's as easy. Now let me just change it change the format into long date so we can understand and we have to know. So December 6th, this one also long date. So December 6th plus 14 days is around December 20, so it's Friday. So yeah, let's try this one. And so for this September 15 plus 14 is 29. It's correct. And um July 9, it's this one. Let's try this. July 9 is plus 14 is equals to 23. So that's it. That's correct. Next is the overdue days. So according to the challenge, calculate how many days past the due date. You have to calculate how many days past the due date. So um, equals to due date minus the return date. Okay? So if the student returned after the due date, it will calculate the how many days is it overdue. Okay, so it's 14, which means that it is oh my bad, it is greater the return date is after the due date. Okay, so let me just calculate this one. So let let use the formula return date minus due date. So in for all the negative values, it should be zero because they already returned the book before the due date. And also this one, we have a problem with this because the student haven't returned the book yet, so there's no value here. So that's why there's an error. So let me just correct it if it's negative. Okay. So you have to um wait. There's problem. So here, if the student is so just if is greater than or equal to zero, I mean it's less than or equals to zero, then it should be zero. Else, this one you just copy this one. Okay, up on that. Okay, so this one. Let us try. Okay, so yeah, all of the negative values are now zero. Okay, next we have to tackle this one. This one is error. So we have to make our own rule here. So in case the student haven't returned it, we just display this book not yet returned. Okay. So let's try another. If return date is I think ifs with s is better formula for this one. So let me just remove now. Ifs return date is equals to this one, or maybe then display book not yet returned. Else if return date minus return date minus the due date is lesser than or equal to zero, you have to display zero. Else compute the return date minus due date. Okay, let me just check. Ooh, I don't know what's this one. Then let's try why it's so many argument. This one is logical and then display. If not true, this one logical again, then display zero. Okay, let's just end it. When using the ifs with s, we have to hard code the true so that we can close this formula. This one. Now there's a problem here because I don't know what happened. Okay, maybe this one. Because this should be due date. Okay, so that's it. So everything is good now. Book not yet returned for all the return dates here. Then here we just have to multiply this one with $1 for each day. Okay, so equals this one multiplied by $1. Then because they're also non-integers, so we just enclose this one with if error. If error, then book not yet returned. This one. So yeah, that's how we handle errors. So yeah, I think that's good. Next is part 2, which is you have to create a student lookup setting based on the student ID. So here, so you have to get the student's name based on the ID 001. So I'll use the most easiest formula, which is XLOOKUP. Then the lookup value here, so we have to lock because this is the only cell that we are going to use. So yeah, then the lookup array, there's a problem. Then the lookup array is here in the student ID. So just wait for this one. So the student ID, right? Then it should be where the lookup value is present. This one. Then the return array, which is the student name. So that's it. If by the way, you have to add if not found, no student is found. You just put it here like that, so that in case we cannot find any student name, we just the fallout value is this one. Okay, so yep, that's it. So the total books borrowed. So how many books does this student have in his possession? So you have to count all the books in the transaction data which he haven't returned yet. So this let's do it. So I'll be just using COUNTIFs with the S. So the criteria range is the ID, student ID, then criteria, then the ID, this one, which we have to lock this one. Next is the criteria range. So the student ID, we have to know that that you haven't returned yet. So let me just move this one. So all the books that are not yet returned. So this one, the criteria is just leave blank, then enclose. So he already borrowed two that have not yet returned. So that's it. Next, so let me just test this one. So three, this one, so also three. Nice value. Okay, so that's it. So the overdue fine is just multiplied. I mean not multiplied. We have to sum all of his overdue fines per transaction if he has overdue fines. So here, so we just use the sum ifs, sum range, which is the transaction here in the transaction data, the overdue fines. Next is the criteria range, which is the student ID. Next is the criteria, which is the lookup. What happened? Oh, okay. We rename these. We rename the Excel sheet. So let me just finish this one. Then that's it. So he has $126. So let me just rename this. I look up. Okay, so that's it. So he has earned $126 of fine. So here, according to the challenge, if the student has any outstanding fines, they cannot borrow more books, even if under the limit. So we cannot allow him to borrow. This should be 0. So but in case he already paid all the overdue fines, then he can allow to borrow 5 books max. So let me just put an ifs. The logical text ifs this one is 0, then 5, because the maximum number of books he can borrow is 5, minus the books that he haven't returned, this one. So that's it. Else, um, if there's a value here, then we have to 0. Oh my bad, it's because if it's true, so we just had let me just use the if without s. So here is 0, because in case if there is a value here, then the student cannot borrow anymore. Okay, so yep, that's it. Let me just test it here. So yeah, I think all of the students have overdue dates, so no more student can borrow. So I think that is good. Now for the challenge part 3, which is the book lookup settings. So you have to get the name of the book by using the book ID, the how many copies are currently not returned, then the soonest due date. Okay, so we go here, then just use the same X lookup. It's one, lock the value, then the lookup array here in the book data. It's one, then the book title. That's it. Okay, so yeah, that's the title of the book, and then how many books is already available. So this one, um, we have to count all the books here in the transaction data. So um, let me just we will just use the count ifs criteria range, which is the book ID, then the criteria, which is this one, then we have to know that we have to also count the books that have not yet returned. So here it should be null or blank, and that's it. That's how we can count the books that not yet returned and also the book ID. Okay, so oh, but why this is no? This is I think there is an error. So this one should be general. So this is the book that was counted that is not yet returned. So we have to subtract these to the copy of the book. So we use the lookup again. So based on formula x lookup with this one as a lookup value, then the array is this one, then number of copies. Okay, so yep, that's it. So here, let me just explain the formula. So we use the XLOOKUP, this one, to get the number of copies of that book of BU001. So let me just, so B001 has a copy of 3 books, okay? So this formula, this one is 3. So this should give us a, no, this one, I mean this one. This one should give us the value of 3C here. And then this one will give us the value of how many books that has not yet returned, which is 1. So 3, this is 3, right? 3, the copy of books minus 1. Okay, so that's 2. Okay, so we have 2 more copies available in the our library, right? Now here, according to the challenge, if the book is not available, show the nearest due date of that book. Okay, so for example, this is not available, so it should be it should display here the date of the nearest due date. Okay, so this one we will use the formula. I think filter first because we want to know, we want to get all the books that is not yet returned. So the book is here, this one. No, my bad. This should be the date. So the overdue days here. Then what is the filter? So the filter is the book ID should be equal to the book ID here. So we have to lock this one. So I believe it will return these books. Why there's a book not yet returned? Let me just wait. Overdue days. Okay. So it should be due date. My bad, guys. So this one should be due date, not overdue. Due date. Okay, so that's one. So wait, let's because of this, we have just to use the long date format. Okay, so this formula will return or will give us a list of dates of due date. Okay, so what we want is that the nearest one, which is the least date. Okay, so we will enclose this one to a mean function, which is this one, mean. So it will just choose the least date or the nearest date. Okay, so yeah, that's one. That's the nearest date. Now the problem is this book has a copy. Okay, so we want, if this availability is 0 or less than 0, then it should display the date. But if there's a available copy, then it should not display. Okay, so right now it should not display because there's 2 more copies. So we have to enclose this to if statement again. So if availability is less than or equals to 0, then it should display this the due date. Okay. Now if not, it will just display a blank. Okay. So that's it. Let's try. Oh, so for example, this one 0. So it will display the due date. I this one. This one 2 available. This one 1. This one, also 1, this one, so 0. It will display the nearest due date. Right? So that's it. So I think there's a question here. So who is the student? Who is student ID 0, ID 003 and how many books did he/she borrow that is not yet returned? So and how much overdue fines did he accumulate? So we have to find 03035. So 035 one. So it is Patrice Robry, which he borrowed 2 books and has a $85 fine. So that's it. And now, is there any available books about book ID 0050 and book ID 0010? So 0050 and 0. Let's check if there's available books. 0050. So no more available books, and the nearest is July 2024. Right now we are 2025, so yeah, it should be returned, but I believe the student forgot anyways. And for book ID 0010. So yeah, we have 3 more copies. So yeah, that's it. That's our Excel data challenge today. So I hope that you learned something, and please comment below indicate if you have any suggestions to do more content, and also comment here if I have missed something or suggest any technique that this project will make it easier. Okay, so I hope your day is fine, and bye bye.